30-minute zero game. See what we can practice today. They're going old school, so defending the pawn. Bishop coming here. Oh no, they're going old new schooly type thing. We can bring the queen here, we can attack the queen because he's not going to be taking the pawn anymore. I think we'll attack the queen. They're looking to do some sort of combination, but the knight's still protecting this pawn. So it's always being clear that the old opening type things, it doesn't mean they're ineffective. If you don't know how to respond to them, then they're quite effective. Okay, so they've moved, and we can maneuver the knight attacking the bishop. Obviously the bishop comes back to defend the pawn. It's a move. Targeting this square to target the rook, but obviously they come back with the bishop to defend, or the queen even, but that kind of loses them the bishop, which is a bit of a shame. So too much going on, I think, for the opponent. Throwing out the pieces, not supporting. Now they look a little bit angry. So if we come here, there's not much that can actually challenge it. Maybe a pawn or maybe the knight itself. So I'm going to come back into the center, not trying to overwork the pieces. This pawn could have been taken, but we had a higher piece under attack, so we may as well just defend that piece first. So we're coming back again to the challenging area. You would assume, oh, they've not actually come to attack. So we do have a free pawn, but how free is it? Because if the queen comes here, the knight can take, I suppose. So in a way it might be free. There's no checks on our king from their queen. So let's continue capturing and maybe try and make space for our queen to attack here. Maybe. That might be a bit too much. Okay, we need to get moving now because I can feel this coming on. It's going to be on the pawn as well. Do we support the pawn first? That's always the issue with these types of things. We get a bit greedy. Everyone gets greedy. Bring the queen here. He's still going to come here, attacking the knight, attacking the pawn. Let's bring the pawn, supporting the pawn first. And then just move the bishop, so then we can hopefully go and castle. Oh! Did you see what we just did? Oh. That's bad form. It does help us out though. I'm going to show you why. Because the rook's now going to move in this space here. It's got the jammed in rook, so we're going to be up the exchange in a sense. So it kind of does work out for us. Unless they do something totally different, of course. I cannot believe I just gave that up then. But let's say we did it on purpose. It's a sacrifice for a better position on the board, so we can go and get the rook off the board. So yeah, when I'm in narration mode, as you know, historically, there's not as much calculation that goes on when I'm in narration mode. It's like 1, 2, bang, bang. They're giving up the knight, so we may as well take the knight. So they've given us it back, so we can rest easy or not. Look at what's happening now. So they've actually, we're not getting the rook, but we are getting the rook because the queen takes. But then obviously if the queen takes, we take the queen with the bishop, so we might still be getting the rook. So they've gone a little bit crazy, causing us loads of upset and confusion, but along the way we seem to be improving our position on the board based on what the opponent's given us. Okay, so they're attacking. We can still go for their rook, so we can take. It's just giving us things to think about constantly now. Probably going to hit the bishop here, all because they don't want the rook being taken. But we've already got their rook because they've sacrificed their rook. Now we're just looking to try and improve position on the board. Check on the king might help. Just takes it to a little corner over here though, doesn't it? He really doesn't want that rook being taken, but I think we can take. As the bishop supported. We do have checks on the king, but let's go for the best destruction. Let's go for an exchange of the king. Oh, but that's wrong. He could have just taken, then the bishop would have got the bishop for free. But now that's not happening. As weird and strange as this person's playing, I think it's a good game to show the amount of errors that I'm making, amount of blunders that I'm making in the position, but the opponent's not taking advantage of any of them, so it's helping us out. Let's just take. I think sometimes you need games like these because they do happen, and you can miss the gold even when the opponent is playing very special moves. So let's just take. And let's put a check on. Probably trying to get rid of stuff so he can go for a stalemate of some sort. Can't even go here. Go here. Yeah. Put a check on rather than bring the bishop down. Let's put another check on, but he hides in the corner. Shall we take this first? Okay. Yes, very strange game, but those strange games are the ones that really do help benefit, like my games. You know, you think you're playing the best move, then the opponent does something odd and quirky, and they have the opportunity to take you to the cleaners, but they miss it. So then you then keep pushing and pushing just to try and improve your position, and you keep making blunders as you go in all the way through. That's a real kind of game. It might not be real to some players, but it's a real kind of game to me. The backwards and forwards, up and downs, missing stuff, you know, human errors. Those are the games that really kind of improve my thought processes in the game anyway. Sure if this player's starting or not. Doesn't look like they are. Signal's gone. Let's not wait around it. Let's look for another one. Maybe 30 minutes is too long. Let's see what this player's saying. Okay, let's develop the knight. Let's push through the center. Don't need to rush, but we're comfortable with this. And I do like pushing here, but let's hang fire and go old school 4 knights. Wants to get rid of this knight, so this pawn gets taken. Shall we develop? Conscious that the knight is here, only one piece protecting at the minute, which is the knight. And let's hit the bishop, see what he wants to do. Doubling the pawns might be a good idea for them. Oh, they've gone all the way back. Now that's not a good sign, is it? That's not a good sign at all. Let's attack the knight. It's not a good sign for them, because they've lost tempo. But sometimes players can play like that. Yeah, because if they're just bringing it here and doing the fianchetto and we've not done anything devastating, then that tempo means nothing. I'm going to take the pawn. Pawn's done its job. That's what it was there for. It's not there to stand there and keep attention. And we could go on castle, or we could just develop the bishop. X-raying through and through, and then looking to actually hit the knight with the small little pawn. Not that there's anything devastating going on here, but feel like we're developing, we're managing the center a little bit. And the knight's down, going to simply capture. There's nothing threatening the bishop at the minute. The bishop's got a good x-ray through to their queen. Also going to hit the bishop with a smaller piece. I don't think they're going to do anything. I think they're going to be arty and bring the bishop back. Just based off of what they did with their dark square bishop. Yeah, exactly. So they're very arty. So we want to make them pay the price. We are at the minute because we're giving them things to think about. But I feel like we are running out of things to give them to think about. So I'm going to castle. So we don't have to worry about king safety per se. So we can, see this sort of thing. What do we do? Don't know if bringing it here is just them hitting our own piece, so probably bringing it back here. A little bit of a flicker I see. So taking the while with this move, and now they're starting to flicker. So they hit the center pawn. Did like this pawn, but you know, head of this, well, it's not a snake, but the head pawn's always going to be hit. So many benefits for us. I think we can just simply take, because I don't want to babysit it forever. There's no trickery as yet, because this pawn is here. So it means the knight can no longer come here. It can come here, attacking this pawn. Queen takes. So we're looking to just get rid of the bishop or the queen, but the queen has got support. Go for simple. Equal on materials, so it's just equal city. Take with this rook. So they've got an isolated pawn in the center. And they've doubled our pawns. Yeah, so looking for those weaknesses. Establishing the weaknesses. Because we were just saying they've got an isolated pawn, so we think that's a weakness. Now they've doubled our pawns, so in essence, in their minds, they'll be thinking, well, we're +1 because they've got doubled pawns. And that's the way I would think. If they've got double pawns, if they're not controlling the files with their rooks. What's this? We've got an x-ray through to the rook. King can't come and defend. So it looks like it's either losing the knight or the rook based off of that maneuver. Don't think there was any pressure on that knight, was there? No, not really. Maybe he's trying to make space for the bishop. Okay. So to be clear, got the x-ray through to the rook. There's nothing that can come and support. King can't come here because the rook is stopping the king from coming to there. If the knight does move, can it attack a rook or a higher piece? No. So the bishop would take the rook. So you're probably thinking the rook's coming to attack the rook to see whether or not at least he gets an even exchange, and thinks that we're going to take. So when the rook comes here, just take the knight because we've got a check on the king, winning a bit of tempo. King has to move, so we would probably get the rook for free. Just looking at that continuation. But I have seen this quite a few times, this type of thing, where the player does go for the exchange of a piece and the person goes and takes it, and they lose that impetus of being able to get a minor piece up. But they've not actually done that anyway. So we'll take with a check on the king. King has to move. We could go and get the rook off the board. They might not want to exchange and might do something funky with the bishop. So this is one of those again where it's a move order thing, isn't it? We go here, doesn't have to take, bishop say comes here. It's not going to attack the rook, rook's on a white square. So we could just take this one, which is far in the corner, and then they take. I'm just worried about them getting this for free, but they don't get it for free really, because if they take that, then the rook just comes back out again. So we will go with that. It does take. Okay, so that takes all of that calculation out the window. So we're on the pawn here, but you'd think the bishop was going to be coming here, because then the rook is on the bishop. So we're going to have to swing out. Probably to here, so that at least we can come here. Yeah, that makes sense. So let's just come here. So we've got an extra bishop. Now let's just play safe. We don't need to rush anything. Find appropriate positions, don't lose any pieces. Oh, they're attacking. We get onto white squares, then this annoying bishop's not going to do much to us. Let's just get onto white squares. That's what we were just saying, don't lose any pieces that we don't need to lose. Now we have an advantage. We've got an extra bishop. So we wanted to just bring the bishop here, supported by this pawn. Bishop's currently supporting this pawn. And there's no trade here with the rook because there's nothing protecting. But the bishop can win a bit of tempo by bringing the bishop here, putting a check on the king. Still no protection here. Idea being the bishop comes here and looking to trade the rook off. It's going to be very careful. If we bring it here, the rook can't come down and attack anything. So let's go with that, with the idea of this. Let's attack it. Doesn't have to trade. Does trade. Excellent. Let's just take. And they've actually resigned. Excellent. Good game. .30-minute 0 increment game. So we're just consolidating all the learning now and see what else can be done to develop the game, make us feel a little bit better about the game. Doesn't look like this person's going to start. I'm not going to let it go all the way to 0. 10 seconds is enough. That's fine. Let's go see if we can find somebody else. Let's push through the center, develop the knight as best possible. Keep doing what we like doing. If it starts getting a little bit unusual, then yeah, we can change it. I mean, queen could come here, but the knight just comes to attack it, so we'll let them do the fianchetto type stuff. So we can develop our bishop, target in this area. It's just that might as well take this off the board. Simple, direct, and castle. So pretty straightforward up to this point. It's coming for the B pawn. Let's just support the protection of the B pawn and give up the rook with the bishop. Yep. So we have madness in mind in this particular game, in terms of them losing a bit of tempo, and they can take all the pieces they want now. What we're kind of concerned with is the fact they haven't got castled, and if we can take advantage of that. So I'm going to bring the queen here, obviously going for the cheap shot, but it can work. Ooh, they're not that asleep, but there's still many things that we can still attempt to do, such as taking the bishop here. We're on their rook, so allowing them this greedy munching type thing. Can't take there currently because the queen and the knight are protecting, so they are up the exchange, but they're not up positionally. So going to look to try and increase the volume of attacks towards the king area if we can. So it's only got one piece protecting there, which is the queen. So it looks like they can go and castle on the king side, but they can't because the bishop is blocking. So I think to further solidify the attack in that area, let's attack the rook, but also keep them from going castling. So the next thing for us, as we said, is we want to keep the momentum going on the attack on that area. We could bring this, but they're going to just push the pawn down. Is there anything else that we can do? We can push the pawn up. Magic seems to be in this white square bishop in terms of being able to attack the rook. Rook is probably coming down to attack. Yes, exactly. So I'm going to remove pieces from the board and just try and make it simple. If the queen does take, then we can take the pawn here. So trying to make an inroad in for a mate threat, but the queen is obviously coming running back to attack, but we're also on the rook. So building up this attack around the king because they didn't get castled. They went greedy munching with the bishop to attack the rook for them to be up the exchange, but did it improve their position on the board? It's not won yet, but I'm feeling fairly favourable about the positions that we're trying to get around the king. And they've resigned. Excellent. Okay, consolidated again, the 30-minute zero increment game. If the opponent's starting, yes, they're starting. Let's push through the center block. So from our experience, let's control narration mode. Let's do the calculations and see if we can have a much improved game. Let's push the pawn, supporting the pawn. There has to be that click point where, you know, I have to say to myself, okay, slow down and just think now. So we're happy and familiar with this position. And we have to then really register when it feels uncomfortable or it just doesn't feel right, and we've got to make the necessary adjustments. Let's castle. King safety. And let's x-ray through to the queen. Because what I feel is comfortable might not necessarily be right conceptually. And that might be where the confusions and the conflicts are coming up, is that I'm feeling so comfortable with positions because I've done them for so long. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right in the eyes of the chess game. So smaller piece attacking the higher piece can't be wrong in my eyes. And just attack the bishop again. So I'm so familiar with this type of thing, I'm feeling comfortable seeing this. Doesn't mean it's right, it just means I'm happy seeing it. Don't mind doubling my pawns, because as we know, we've explained this type of position before on many occasions. Knight usually comes to sink here because it's attacking this pawn, it's got no protection on. Let's just take because we don't want the pawn advancing further down the board. And in this occasion, you could get arty. This is the point where I'm thinking, do I go with this? It just feels like it's nothing though. You know, it doesn't really give me anything, but that's where the arty bit comes in. So we stop talking and just take the knight off the board because it's simple, direct moves. We could jam the bishop in. Could just leave it there. Could just hit the bishop to say what you're actually doing. Don't think they take the knight because they're going to be feeling, oh no, the bishop's too strong. But smaller piece attacking a higher piece in the mantra, there's no real problems with that. We do have these supporting these. We're used to that position as well. It's not the best, it's just our bad bishop. Really, we try and make it functional as best possible. There's nothing else that can really be done. jamming this in here just gives us a head of the snake, and then they just come back, and then it's just like, what's the word, we're just holding court. So I'm going to attack the bishop, advancing the pawn up the board a little bit. So they're just going to sneak in here and then just push this pawn and just kind of block things off. Knight probably wanting to sink here at some stage. Yeah, so they're always coming down attacking this pawn. Is there anything else, anything different? No, let's just simply capture the pawn. Obviously the bishop takes. If the rook's taking, they're thinking of doing this, but the knight's protecting, so I think the bishop's going to take and then probably sit up here somewhere. So it might seem dry, but it's one of those where you think, well, you know, I've seen this quite a few times. So the queen's going to the other side of the board, which I don't really like, but it's attacking the b pawn, but I'm not really interested in that. All I want to do really is get either this rook supporting this pawn, because there's going to be attacks coming from theirs. So that's the real reason why I put the queen here, but it gives them something to think about. But even if I did take, it's going to cause us problems because the rook just comes here. If they did do that, we'd get the knight off the board, so they need to do something with the knight first, because they would have our pawn at some point. So they've moved because they think we're going with this fancy business. So we're going to continue attacking the pawn, knowing that they're coming here, and then we can just take the knight off the board because they'll be wanting to get this pawn. If they realise that, they'll move the knight first, and then we can take, and then they take, and then they're on our bishop, so we move the bishop. Yep. So we're going to take, make sure that everything's right there. Yeah, going to take, the pawn takes, we have to bring the bishop here because the queen is on the bishop. So bring the bishop here, bishop takes the pawn. Because it's free. And then we bring the rook here, attacking the bishop. Bishop moves back, maybe not there, maybe just to back. So then we're attacking this pawn with the rook. So they're thinking. So you could think it's all dry, but at the same token, dry games are the majority of, oh, he's protecting the pawn before he comes and takes the pawn. Okay. So it looks like we're not going to get that pawn then after all. We are +1, so we don't necessarily need to be greedy, do we? Queen is on this pawn as well. So just move the king out of the way and let them continue with their movement. We can bring the rook here and attack their queen at that point. So they either come back and back, but they'll probably go here because they'll be protecting this pawn. So we have let's take them with the queen. So we can take, protecting the pawn. It's got dark square bishop. Let's take. So still +1, and now they're attacking this pawn. Is there any captures anywhere? Pressures on. Could put pressure with the rook onto the queen. Queen comes down, attacks the pawn. Push up. So I think the smaller piece attacking the higher piece again shouldn't be too wrong. Let's attack the queen with the rook. So now it's getting to the meaty bits now. We're both focused on little minute pawns, but we are kind of focusing on trying to improve our position. Just the bishop is blocking there at the minute. Any attempts at trying to get across here. So he's doing minuscule attacks. I believe the queen's coming here just to attack the pawn and attack the pawn here. You can always sight himself there as well, so he's attacking this pawn twice. And yep. Yeah, so it's come there. This pawn is being attacked. We can push this pawn, or we can take this pawn first. If we take this pawn, then his rook probably comes here. It's putting a bit of pressure on this pawn. Bishop's protecting at the minute. And like we said, our rook's not really getting on the back because of their bishop. So we could attack it again. but he moves. And what else was there? Oh, pushing the pawn up. It's a bit defensive because then he gets to push this pawn down and then we've got issues. So I think I'm going to take this pawn because it's looking quite frightening. So we'd still be up a pawn. The capture here, this pawn might not survive. Might look to double and then maybe go for some attacks here. But our king is a little bit jammed in, isn't it? I have to slow this down now a little bit. So this pawn's going either with the rook or with the queen. Bishop's protecting here at the minute. You would think they'd take with the rook because it's still got the attempt at this, and then they can try and get rid of this bishop protecting. Or just get the bishop off the board somehow by attacking somewhere. Yes, so that was probably the better option, wasn't it? So we could go and attack their rook. Doesn't have to take, he can just go hiding in the corner. Dark square bishop. Could attack the B, blah, blah. But this queen is protecting twice. Could attack the rook by coming here, looking to support the attack here. Is that too arty? Attacking the rook. Rook either goes here or goes here. Oh, it probably goes there actually. It's going to hit my rook. If he goes there though, we go on the inside and put a check on. But this rook can still come down and attack our rook. Okay. So do we just go straight for attacking the rook? I'm going to go straight for attacking the rook this way. I'm just trying to play it backwards because that looked more favourable than allowing this. If they do that, maybe we can bring the king here. Queen's on a dark square at the minute. So there's no checks at the moment on the king. Right, I'm not going to do any more thinking now. We've played this one backwards. So they do take, we get a check on the king. And so there must be some sort of magic here. This position is nice, it's just we have to go here, we have to go here, supporting. That might be too long, but the bishop is protected by the queen at the moment. If we came down, tricky, tricky, tricky. There must be a move. Yep, we can't do any of this business because just an instant checkmate. Must be the rook. And they are doing this, aren't they? That's what we're expecting them to do. So do we just attack the queen? And then he drops his rook. So then we can't take the queen because attack the queen. If he drops the rook, we can take the rook. Queen takes, rook takes, bishop takes, and we've got +1. Don't think it's going to work out like that, and I think something's going to happen with this bishop. So I'm going to bring the queen down, attacking the queen. I think something's happening with this bishop. He don't want this bishop there. He wants the queen to get this. So there's going to be something to disturb this bishop, and I can't see it yet. But maybe he just attacks it like this. No, no. Queen can just move up and attack the pawn, or just take the pawn. probably just going to take the pawn, aren't they? Yeah, just giving them the pawn. Yes. So if we attack his rook, and he doesn't have to do anything, but we'll try to get him away from this matey thing. I look like I'm going to lose all my pawns. To attack the rook, it's got no protection. Attacking the queen. Probably just goes behind. Or even here, just to attack the pawn. I think that's what they're going to do because they're greedy. And we're trying to fashion an attack on this bishop, but it's easily defended because the rook is on the bishop. There's no fancy business because if he goes here but can't go there, the queen just takes. The rook can't take. It's big deliberation, but if I can see that, anybody can see that. Yeah, so they've gone there. It's an obvious move. Really didn't need to take that long. It's on a dark square. Bishop can attack it, but then we do lose the pawn. But then we can get the bishop off the board. But it's not going to be that clear cut, is it? Goes there. Maybe the bishop just attacks. And we have to be mindful that they're wanting this square. Let's attack the queen. We can take the pawn. We get the bishop. And somehow they're going to magically get this pawn. Oh, is it that? Oh, that's nasty. That's nasty, yeah. But if he does that, we take. So he's going for the pawn anyway there. Stinky, stinky, stinky. Oh. So we just go back, don't we? And attack the queen. I need my position like that towards their king, but I'm not going to get it, am I? What's the next obvious move that they're going to make? Obviously coming back down for the pawn. They're not going to go for a draw, so they'll make us think they're going for a draw. And then what's the next move after that when the bishop comes and attacks? Is there some sort of sacrifice? Rook takes. Yeah, so they come back down, we go here, then they realise that rook taking, if the king takes. Although if he does do the rook take, the bishop just takes the queen off the board, so that's not happening. So how does he get out of this draw type thing? Definitely wants to come for this pawn because it's free. So how does he do it? Maybe he goes this way to attack the pawn. But if he goes that way and attacks the pawn, we can take the rook off the board. So he potentially is just coming back. Or he's coming here to attack the pawn, but again, if he does that, we can take the rook. So the only safe space for him to do is to make it look like he's going for a draw and coming here. And when we do this, what do they then suddenly realize they can do? This thing. So if they did that with the rook, we can take their queen. And if his rook takes our queen, we take, and would be a rook and a bishop against the bishop. So I don't think we need to worry about that one too much. So when they come back again, we go here. What else is it that I'm missing? So the queen then goes, right, I'm taking the pawn off the board this time. That's nothing major, but then we can take the bishop. We'll take the bishop on the dark square. The queen goes back again. Where was it? It's on a white square, so he's not going to get that position of attacking the pawn. But does he come here? No. Yeah, it looks a bit messy to me. So is he not going for the pawn at all and just moving the rook out of the way completely now? And saying, right, let's move this rook first. It's got support of something. And we can start attacking the pawn. Don't really know. I don't really know. Those are all I'm doing now. I'm not doing any more calculation. Shocking. Oh yeah, and they've made a move. Like I said, they potentially could go for draw moves, but they might see something that I just have missed, like going for some sort of attack somewhere. Our rook is... we didn't see this. So we can take this, but then he does have this. So the rook takes one. I just can't get to his, because if I take, then the rook's blocking the queen ever doing any attacks. Rook takes, rook takes. Just bring the bishop back. So he's chomping at the bit to get this pawn, being able to support the rook. Chomping at the bit to get that. If we attack the queen, so is there any magic? Rook, no, queen takes. Oh, I can't attack the queen, I've got no support, have I? Got no support. Push the pawn up, still takes this. So the taking. So the upper pawn, this pawn is looking to get promoted. Oh, right, okay, so we could now put a check on the king. Can't go there, the rook's there. Can't go there, the rook's there. So he wants us to take, and then he got bang, but it's not checkmate. So then our queen can attack his queen with a check on the king. Queen takes, rook takes. Moving quick, they're moving quick. Let's attack the queen with a check on the king, like we said. Gets the bishop off the board as well. And they're going to be up a pawn. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Let's put a check on the king and get the queen off the board. Oh, magic. Oh, that couldn't have been more perfect. That is fitting for this game. Did not like the way this player conducted themselves. They waited for ages. And now it looks like we've taken them to the cleaners. Fantastic. I don't think they're going to make a move now. And I think the time's going to run out on this one. That's magical position. We wanted to get a result here. So let's take. You have a bit of this type stuff. Oh, sorry, don't forget the basics of attacking the, taking the rook off the board. Yes, they're going to lose on time. Fantastic. That's brilliant. Excellent result.